Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mains and Dutch Week 1, baby. I'm your host, Mains, and my colleague is using his iPhone to steal other people's fancy football teams. Mr. Neil Dutton, how are we, Neil?
I'm doing what?
Have you seen the Apple Watch thing? The Boston Red Sox stealing signs? Someone's suggesting that, which is absolutely genius. But team from Boston steals signs from team in New York. Not that we have ever seen something like that before.
Much like Hollywood, it seems that teams have run out of new ideas on how to cheat.
Exactly. Though stealing signs in baseball has been going on for about 100 years.
There can't be that many different signs you can have in baseball.
But it's the sign that you use for each different pitch. You may change it and flip it around. So anyway, this is a NFL podcast, not a baseball podcast. So let's go on with that. It's week 1, and it's basically Christmas Eve. As the NFL starts tomorrow, with the Chiefs getting absolutely destroyed by the New England Patriots, and Roger Goodell getting booed out of the stadium. Spoiler alert there. For anyone who's listened to this on Friday. Yeah,
well, you've ruined that, so we might as well go home. Oh, look, I already am home. Good night.
You are. So we're back to business. Usually we will do some hot takes because we like them because they're dead funny. But this week we're going to do predictions first, and we're going to give you some games of the week. Then we'll give you Dutton's fancy darling and loser of the week, and then we will finish with our fantasy teams of the week for DFS lovers, including me, who put himself in about 4 different DFS competitions today while coming up with my team of the week.
Well played, sir.
Thank you. So first things first, Dutton. Let's look absolutely ridiculous like we did last year. Like I picked Gus Bradley to be coach of the year. That went well. With our predictions, I'll start you off with who is your MVP, Dutton?
My MVP, and I think I said this last week, assuming he stays fit and healthy, will be Russell Wilson. I just think this is the year that we're getting to the end of the great run of quarterbacks. You know, Manning's gone, Brady's not long for this game, Drew Brees is getting up there. Then you come down to the level of good but not great. You know, Eli, Phil Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger. These people, and then the further down you go, and eventually you're going to get to the level of utter crap. So we need a standard bearer, and I think Russell Wilson is about to enter that conversation. And plus, the Seahawks are going to romp the NFC, so that will help.
The only other team I think can challenge the Seahawks in the NFC stakes, as you will see momentarily, is the Green Bay Packers. And thereby fact that at 8-1, I think Aaron Rodgers, a media darling, is on for a steal, and so I will be taking him. You can get Wilson at 12s, not a very good bet indeed. One of my favourites on the outside is everyone's favourite kid-making gunslinger, and that's Mr. Phil Rivers, who's a massive 80-1.
A man so fertile he could inseminate a lump of coal.
He's up there with a soon-to-be King Bill in his top gooser levels.
Boss gooser, him.
He is a boss gooser.
Future monarch.
Future monarch, boss gooser. That's on his CV, I believe.
It's his Twitter profile.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, Dutton.
I think it'll be the boy Foster. I just think he's going to have an awful lot of opportunity to make an awful lot of plays as his team's going to be crap. So he's going to be on the field. They seem to be a bit more improved. I mean, I watched their preseason game. I was watching it for their offense, but I just noticed on defense they were flying around against the Vikings. But Jesus, Mary and Joseph, that O-line is going to get Sam Bradford killed. But they were fast, they were aggressive, and I think he could. I mean, the hope for him, he wanted to say Derek Barnett, but I don't think he's going to play enough snaps to warrant it. I mean, for a defensive end, you're talking, 8 to 10 sacks for a rookie. Probably. I don't think he's going to get that. So, whereas I think Foster could, conceivably be up there, in the, top 5, top 7 or 8 in terms of total tackles. So, yeah.
I've gone also crap team defense with Myles Garrett. He is a genetic freak in those type of situations. He's 4-1. It's not great, mate. Reuben Foster's 9-2 for those who are interested. I as we literally do this, I've just seen that Myles Garrett left practice early today, so I've somehow managed to curse him while talking about him.
He had a note. He had a note from his mum, but he's really just in a field near Brea having a sly fag.
Cool, excellent. That's good news. As Dutton said, both of our teams have high first round picks on defense, and both hope that they will be game changers. But obviously, because we don't want to jinx them, we will not talk about them.
Nope.
Dutton, who's your offensive rookie of the year?
I think this is a man who's, his opportunity has increased greatly in the last few weeks. I mean, his role was growing. I'm talking about Kareem Hunt, obviously the Chiefs. It was looking more and more likely he was going to be part of a committee. But then Spencer Ware's injury means that Kareem Hunt has inherited the lead running back role. Now, we know that Coach Reid does have a charming tendency occasionally to forget he has running backs. But I think much like early period Juice Staley, Brian Westbrook, Sean McCoy, Hunt is a 3-down back, so he will stay on the field and he will get ample opportunity on a team that we know wants to run the ball. So he's not the flashiest rookie. He's not Dalvin Cook or C-Mac or Leonard Fournette or even some of the receivers, but I think he's landed in the perfect opportunity.
He's 12-1, and I literally cannot believe Neil Dutton, lover of Big Red, hater of his use of running backs, has gone with a Chiefs running back. But anyway, mine's much simpler than this. Why outthink the room? 600 yards receiving, 800 yards on the ground, 9 touchdowns. That, ladies and gentlemen, would be the under for Christian McCaffrey, who is going to take the league by storm this year and will win and dominate Rookie of the Year. 5-1, free money. Dutton shaking his head, looking like Churchill's dog.
Yeah, I don't think Jonathan Stewart's going away, so I think there's a cap on C-Mac's output. He'll have weeks, and
that's all I need. Dutton, who is your coach of the year?
My coach of the year will be unfortunately, the runner-up in the AFC Championship, Los Angeles Chargers, Mr. Anthony Lynn. The Chargers have won 9 games in 2 years. They will win at least 9 games this year. It'll be a great turnaround. And let's be honest, the NFL could really do with a success story for LA.
They could do something because Dean getting in for the Rams. My coach of the year is my favourite coach, and that is fast and loose Pete Carroll. As Dutton has quite rightly pointed out, the Seahawks are the Patriots of the NFC. There's a lot of players who are returning, and they are seriously talented, and they have Earl Thomas back. And I heard an outrageous stat about the Seahawks. When Thomas was on the field, the passer rating for opposing quarterbacks was 69. When he wasn't on the field, it was 109.4. To put that into context, before Earl Thomas was on the field, quarterbacks were Blaine Gabbert. When he wasn't on the field, quarterbacks were Tom Brady.
Yeah, I've heard Thomas is quite good.
They will be good, as long as Dutton says, his O-line doesn't get Russell Wilson killed. I see them winning 12 to 13 games, and maybe Pete gets coach of the year. Dutton, NFC title game.
I've gone boringly chalky. Packers at Seahawks.
So have I. So let's not talk about it. AFC title game, I'll go first because I have gone increasingly chalky and done Steelers at Patriots. You've done something slightly different.
I have the Patriots at home because, let's be honest, I'm not that heroic. But as I alluded to earlier, it will be against the Chargers of LA.
Do you think then the Chargers go into Pittsburgh in divisional weekend and beat them just out of interest? Is that how you'd see it?
I don't know. I think because I can see the Steelers not winning their division, the Steelers not getting past wild card week because having to go on the road to someone. So who knows? Okay. But chances are they'll probably have to play. That'd be the 5 seed probably. They'd have to play the 4. The 4 would probably be Cincinnati, and if West of Us is a thing, then
so.
Let's hope so. Then I can see the Steelers. Steelers are going to have to be on the road because we've talked at length that the only way they get past the Patriots is if they get the Patriots to Heinz Field, and it's not going to happen. So I haven't given it full thought, but I would imagine something like that would happen.
Super Bowl, Dutton, I assume, based on what you picked, it's Seahawks or Patriots, the same as mine.
Yeah, this, unlike, the Boston cheating scandal, this is an original that was a hit and could stand a sequel.
And the winner's done
19-0.
I'm going to say there'll be something along the lines of 17-2, but yes, I think we both picked the New England Patriots. Please keep those thoughts in mind and tweet us when they go horribly, horribly wrong. Dutton, let's get started on the regular stuff and let's get on with games of the week.
The games of the week.
Touchdown, 85 yards. He's going to score. He's going to score. He's going to score. Touchdown.
It's great to hear Gus Johnson back on games of the week called Dutton. We had to mix this up because at the beginning of the week we had 3 games. They were Raiders at Titans, Bucks at Dolphins, and Seahawks at Packers. Obviously, given the only be described hellacious things going on in southern Florida at the moment, Bucks Dolphins is cancelled. So we've drafted in Chargers at Broncos. First game, no Dutton. Unbelievably not on Sky. I literally still cannot believe this. I know we talked about it in the previews. Is Raiders at Titans. Titans favoured by 1.5, which is not a big line considering they're at home, and the over/under is 51. Dutton. But my first question on this game is: do we see this as a playoff game come January?
It's a good shout. It's when you actually look. Let's look at the AFC South. Just to, it's a quick
take. Do we have
to? I think we do, for just the purpose of this. Andrew Luck is not going to take a snap in an NFL game until at least October.
Yeah.
Tom Savage
is real.
He is real, and he easily beat out Deshaun Watson. Watson looks like a rookie. The other team that's name escapes me, and certainly won't talk about the score. No. The Titans have got the best team in the AFC South, and it's not even close because they have the most complete team with the fewest glaring weaknesses.
Agreed.
Aside from the head coach. So if they have to be favourites to win the division now, as far as I'm concerned. The Raiders, I love the Raiders. Interesting, I'll just quick plug. Ted Nguyen, I think his name is. He's published a book. It's charting the Raiders' offense. And basically, he's looked at every play over the last 2 years. So he's broken it down. He talks about all the formations, all the different schemes, all the plays. It's X and O's porn. It's absolutely fantastic. I will retweet it from my account, and you can retweet it from the Wax and Lyrical account because people can then see the shocking spelling. And then I highly recommend picking it up. It's $9.99, which is about £7.60, I think. Well worth a read. This is a good team. It's two ascending offenses, not transcendent. Two ascending offenses. Two very, very fine young quarterbacks. And if this was a playoff game, I mean, there's a few games in week 1 that you look and think these teams could meet again. This certainly would not be a disgrace to see again in January.
I think that the Titans have got the easiest path to the playoffs. We talked last week in the final preview about the West, and the Chiefs and Broncos, we got question marks over. We both loved the Chargers of LA. I like saying that. I don't know why. So it's one of them. I think it's going to be tough, but I think there's a chance that this could be some kind of the AFC South against the wild card, for example. I think there's a good chance that it happens. I hope so, because I like different teams being in the playoffs, and that can only be seen as a good thing. And considering you look at our playoff predictions, we haven't really done much other than say that the teams that we expect to be there will be there. I guess if we move on to the second question, more fancy now, something focused, and that is Marcus Mariota against this secondary start in all your leagues, I guess.
This is the annoying thing, I think, from fantasy when it comes to the Titans, is that they obviously have gone out of their way to improve their passing attack. But the only secure thing you can take from it from a weekly basis is Mariota. Rashard Matthews was the leading receiver last year. They drafted Corey Davis, he's hardly played. They've got Eric Decker, who hardly played last year, but we know is a touchdown machine. It's... And obviously they've got the tight ends. They've got, Delaney Walker. They've got Jonnu Smith. We don't know who's going to be the guy. So they could all chip in. I think from a fantasy point of view, the best thing to do is, if you're not going to take the running backs, is to take Mariota, because the Raiders tried to improve this secondary, in the draft. It's not great, Bob. They've hit a few roadblocks there.
If we move on to the Raiders, last year it was kind of a 50-50 split between Cooper and Crabtree. I know we discussed it a little bit last week, but I'm interested more to talk. Do you really think it's going to be like 70-30 towards Cooper over Crabtree this year, or do you think it stays kind of even split?
It'd be lovely if it did. When I look back and realise how often I actually drafted Cooper over this past weekend, I can't see it going to a 70-30. Because Crabtree's just, has been very good. He rediscovered himself with the Raiders. I'd like it to move. I could take a 60-40 split. I just think if, Cooper needs to score more touchdowns. I know he's chipped in, but as we know, he's not a big red zone threat. Maybe that changes. Fantasy-wise, it'd be great if he did, because then next year we start talking about Cooper as, a surefire first rounder, as opposed to a borderline first, second round bridge guy. But as I said, Crabtree's not going away. It'll take injury for him. I mean, especially in the red zone, he's got Derek Carr's eye. So
what an eye it is. Dutton Raiders at Titans. Titans favored by 1.5. Who do you think wins the game?
I'm going to take the Titans because of the home field. I don't think that I can see it's going to be close. I don't see them blowing them out. As I say, this is not our Raiders anymore. This is old school Raiders. So yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I think the Titans will win.
Over unders 51, Dutton.
So what's that? 26.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the under, because I still think at heart the Titans want to be a control offense. Yeah, so I'm going to take the under. With
that, I think you're right. I think I'll take the Titans. Probably win by field goal, something like that. That'll be tight, close game. Probably be enjoyable. And yeah, I'm going to probably take the under as well. As Don said, we talk about Mariota all the time, but really, under Malarkey, they want to run the ball and keep the ball away from the Raiders, and that'll be the best way to win the game. And if they do that, then it'll be under 51.
Absolutely.
Next game, Dutton, is Sunday. One of the later games on Sunday. It's we previewed it as an NFC title game. That is Seahawks at Packers. At the moment, Packers favoured by 3, which is basically just home field advantage.
Yeah.
In that kind of world of the NFC title game, Dutton, in week 1, can we literally be talking about, could this game decide whether the NFC title games in Seattle or in Green Bay?
Well, it'll be a hell of a tiebreaker to have. I mean, we know that over the years, the Seattle are pretty much unbeatable at home and can be had on the road. But that was, when they were, a ground and pound defense, ball control offense, whereas now they're more of a spread passing team. Mm-hmm. So if these two teams are going to go toe to toe, then as you say, that the spread is basically a home advantage one. It just basically becomes a question of, can the Packers defense do enough against a pretty inept O-line to make Russell Wilson have to perform miracles to win? And yeah, it's as I say, John Madden back in his day when he was coaching was accused of never being able to win the big games. His answer was, I didn't know there were any little games in the NFL, and this is week 1. It doesn't ruin your season, but it can't half help.
Yeah, and also if you've got that kind of advantage over one of these teams, whoever you are, and you win the game, it gives you that bit of psychological advantage going into January when you probably will play them again, based on the fact that these are two really talented teams with two exceptional quarterbacks. I just look and think, is the defense on the Seahawks side enough to win the game? I think it is. That would be the difference between the two sides for me. Do you know what I mean? Both of them, I'm not convinced, can run the ball. Both of them got excellent quarterbacks, and the defense in Seattle is just infinitely better.
I'm not buying the Eddie Lacy revenge game narrative either.
No, absolutely not, Done. Absolutely. And to be honest, I've got two questions which are exactly the same from a fantasy point of view, and that is, first question will go for Packers, and the Packers question is, what is going on at Packers running back? And should we care from a fantasy point of view?
Well, yes, because this is one of the best offenses in football, and especially in a position where traditionally it's only they only start one player. You'd like to have a piece of that player. Ty Montgomery is going to be the guy until he's not. Now, obviously, he has the sickle cell trait, so he has, he could get soft tissue injuries that take an age to recover. In which case, they bring in Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is a 2-down back. So then it'd probably be a committee approach with Aaron Jones. But until then, they're going to try and give Montgomery as much workload as he can take, because we know he's good in the passing game. We know he's electric when given the chance, and we know he can score touchdowns. It's just a question of can he be put in a position where he's protecting Aaron Rodgers and doesn't get him killed. As Jeremy McNicholas will tell you, doing this on high-profile situations like Hard Knocks, it's a good way to get you pissed off by the coach, and then pissed off the field.
Same question for the Seahawks, Dalton. What is going on, and who is starting for the Seahawks at running back? And from a fantasy point of view, should we care?
Well, we should care, because the Seahawks running back, when he has a decent amount of touches, is incredibly fantasy relevant, even in the 2 years that they've been pass happy. The problem is the two running backs they're leaning on, Lacey and Thomas Rawls, are underwhelming and can't stay on the field for very long. CJ Prosise has probably got the most talent of all of them, but has 30 career NFL carries. He's more of a passing down back. Chris Carson is going to lead this team in carries and probably yards by the end of the season, because he's the only one who's come in and looked like a viable NFL running back. So I wouldn't pick him this time, because the Packers actually not too bad against the run. And there's a chance this could send us to something of a boat race. But keep your eye on that. I want no part of Eddie Lacy, and it's only desperation in one dynasty league, where I have shown a chronic lack of ability to take running backs and develop them, as it were, that I'm having to start roles this week. Other than that, not interested.
Seahawks or Packers, Dalton. Packers favoured by 3. Who have you got?
I've got the Seahawks.
Yeah, me too. I suppose it's home field advantage, but I'm looking at Raiders and Titans, and Titans are only favoured by 1.5. I'm thinking, should not be the same? Over/under's 50.5, Dalton.
Over.
Yeah, I think this has a tendency to be a high scoring game, because we're both not convinced by the running games. A lot of throwing equals probably a lot of points, and I think we could reach a stage where Rodgers starts to force it, and there could be a few defensive touchdowns for Seattle as well. I could see them winning by, I don't know, maybe 10.
Blimey.
Final game, Dalton, is the final game of the weekend. I think it's actually on Tuesday morning, probably by the time it starts in UK time.
Yeah, 3:20 a.m. start our time.
So we probably, by the time I get up, it'll still be on. And it's Chargers at Broncos, Dalton. Question for me is, in local betting companies, the Broncos are 8.5 over regular season wins, and the Chargers are 7.5. Do you see this as a game that could change people's minds in relation to these two teams?
I think so. There seems to be a few cracks developing already in Denver. Under Vance Joseph, they're not entirely thrilled with the release of TJ Ward, which is John Elway's. This one's also for John. There just needs to be a stunning lack of leadership identity of this team, certainly on the offense. I mean, I say Trevor Siemian, I'm sure, is a fine citizen, but I'm hard pressed to get excited about him. Obviously, the defense is, it's led by Von Miller, but I don't really think he's not really a big rah-rah type guy. It just seems last few weeks there's just been some bad juju with the Broncos and the Chargers. If they can just stay healthy, it's, as I say, it's a throwback to the Schottenheimer Chargers. There's so much talent. Just put it together, please. Just put it together. Yeah,
but you don't need. I see the Chargers for me are a much better team than the Broncos. I don't, you know, okay, it's in Mile High and whatever, but I do look and think Chargers win this game, and as you said, there's issues. Then we're talking about in Denver. You've already highlighted them, and then Chargers get a bit of momentum. That's a good thing. Do you know what I mean? As you said, talent all over the field, and with that talent all over the field, and how much you love the Chargers. I know you're a big fan of for the likes. The boy you picked in our League of Records draft, Terrell Williams. Which Chargers players should people be looking to start this week?
Well, the Chargers obviously have questionable depth behind Melvin Gordon, so he's probably going to be the only running back they'll use in large spells. Andre Williams can sod off, quite frankly. He's not an NFL player. Well, he draws an NFL salary. Brandon Oliver is just a guy. So Gordon's going to get a lot of work. The Broncos weren't very good against running backs last year. They allowed, I think it was the 5th most rushing yards, which from a stout defence, especially a Wade Phillips defence, you don't expect. So Gordon is probably going to get an awful lot of volume, so that makes him an interesting play. Keenan Allen, we've seen when he's on the field, Phil Rivers looks for him, and we know he can catch the ball. The two tight ends are questionable because Denver over the years, going back quite a few years, even before Coach Phillips was there, they've been susceptible to tight ends. But which one do you pick? Hunter Henry, Antonio Gates. The safest pick is Melvin Gordon because he's going to get the goal line carries as well, and Keenan Allen as well. But Phil Rivers hasn't done that great against the Broncos in this time, although he does have a decent record. His personal performances aren't that hot.
On the Broncos side, Dutton, I know you're a big fan of Demaryius Thomas. You mentioned it in the past. How does Simeon now being the starter affect Thomas? Does it matter? Because I know Thomas is much more of a dump off and try and run it for 50 yards.
It's a question of, obviously these two were together last year, but it was a totally different scheme. We know what Mike McCoy does well. He adapts his offense to suit the pieces he has. So he knows that last time he was here, tunnel and bubble screens to Demaryius Thomas were the way to go. Because that time he didn't really have a running back he could lean, could hang his hat on. They've got questionable depth at the tight end position. I mean, Virgil Green, AJ Darby, and Jeff Heuerman. No thanks. I think they've got 82 NFL receptions between the three of them, and 57 of them are for Green, and it's taken him 6 years to get them. And the running back room just completely underwhelms me. I'm not a big CJ Anderson fan. I think he'll break down by November. The other guys, no, I'm okay. The only thing they can do basically on offense is feed DT and Emmanuel Sanders. And as I say, I just like the fact that Thomas has the greater familiarity with the offense, although Thomas has been under something of a fitness cloud since, I think it was the 3rd preseason game. But he did practice today and should be good for Sunday. So again, volume-wise, I think he's a safe wide receiver 3 flex.
Chargers at Broncos. Broncos favoured by 3.5.
Chargers.
Yeah, it's a big number, and it even says that they favour the Broncos in the game over the home field advantage. Yeah, it's too much for me. And the over-under is 43. Not a high number.
Not a high number. Yeah, I'll take that. Over under. I think again, the best way to beat the Broncos is to put them in a position where Trevor Siemian has to make plays, and the best way to do that is to keep him off the field. So I think we did see, if you remember, back when Mike McCoy was his first year with the Chargers, he was one of the first coaches to go up neutralising Chip Kelly and the Eagles, in that he just kept him off the field. Phil Rivers running the snap count down to 1. Or, literally just clicking onto 0. So he's shown he can play keep away with a much more explosive offense that Kelly's was in those days than the Broncos one is now.
Yeah, absolutely done that. I'm going to take the over as well. Chargers should have to be an explosive offense. I know the Denver defense is good, but as you mentioned, weaknesses on the rush defense may allow a bit of spread pass as well. So they're the games of the week, but really there's a lot of games and there's a lot of people that we should either love or hate during this week in fantasy. So let's get this party started with week 1 and Dutton's fantasy darling of the week.
Hello, darling.
My mate Sam Bradford. We all know I'm a big fan of Sam. Gutted to see him leave a year ago this week, I think it was. But, in one league I did draft Andrew Luck, thinking, it's okay, I can get through. So I, in one of my articles for Rotoviz, for people like me who had drafted Luck, there were some options I offered. And one of them was Sam Bradford, because the Saints are absolutely awful, especially on the road, and just love letting fantasy quarterbacks take points off them. So Bradford, available in about 91% of NFL.com leagues. And, the Saints are playing, the Saints on the road is usually a good sign for the opposition quarterback.
Absolutely done. We can't love everyone though, Dutton. So let's talk about the fancy loser for week 1.
Well, linking back to the previous one, when I said, talk about Andrew Luck, the biggest loser is T.Y. Hilton. Because he's probably the best player they've got who's fit. Because obviously they don't have Luck. Vontae Davis is injured. The boy Kelly is hurt. Unfortunately, his quarterback is Scott Tolzien, who is awful. Obviously, Hilton is going to get, probably going to be targeted by Tolzien. It's just a question of whether or not he's going to have time to do T.Y. Hilton things, i.e. get down the field. I can just see the Rams absolutely destroying Tolzien and shutting down Hilton and anyone else you want, Doyle, Moncrief. I don't care. I think this could be an absolute massacre.
Yeah, I agree with Dutton, and it may be noted later in the show. And on that later in the show, Dutton, back with a vengeance. Let's talk about our fantasy teams of the week.
Mains and Duts. Daily Fantasy Team of the Week.
Show me the money.
I do love that drop. If I do say so myself. Dutton, it's a...
Big fan of you, aren't you?
Big, massive fan of me. Love me, like. We go to DraftKings. We draft our team. We keep it under the 50k budget, and then we put it in a load of leagues and see how we get on. Kick me off, Dutton, with your quarterback, please.
Sam Bradford.
How much is Sam in this?
Do you know? I'm not sure. I haven't written it down.
Oh, what a player!
Hang on a sec. I'll pull it up.
Let's.
But
I don't trust you that you can count to 50k. Obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, good luck with that. I'd need a bigger pad than I've got now. Obviously, I've spoken the reasons why I've gone with Bradford. The Saints are a most enticing matchup.
As always.
Let's just have a quick look-see. Oh, come on now. Let's not be silly. Sam Bradford is 5,900.
Excellent. I've gone for a person we've talked about already, Derek Carr. He's 6,700. He's playing the Titans. Titans did try and address their cornerback woes with drafting a couple of cornerbacks. That starting cornerbacks who are rookies is never good news, and especially when they come against Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper. So I've gone with him. Dutton, running back 1.
No matter what.
Amen to that. David Johnson's playing the Lions. People, he's 9,400, and I would suggest worth every penny. Don't forget, DraftKings Daily Fantasy is PPR, so that is he gets yards on the ground, yards in the air, and his catches. And by the way, he's good. Don't know if you knew.
I've heard rumours.
I was second pick in our League of Record draft. I was very annoyed that I wasn't first. Don't worry though, that's the only good player there Spostly got, I think. Running back 2, Dutton.
Jonathan Stewart. The 49ers were the worst team against running backs in fantasy football last year. They're improved, as I said, they were flying around like mad things, but ultimately this is still some of the same personnel. Stewart is still likely to get the majority of the early down work for the Panthers. We still don't know exactly how healthy Cam Newton is going to be, so we don't know how often he wants to throw the ball. So Jonathan Stewart for $5,000 will do me very nicely indeed.
For $400 more, Dutton, you can pick up Offensive Rookie of the Year, Christian McCaffrey, who not only will run for a percentage of this game, but will also catch a load of passes and probably get in the end zone twice. You heard it here first. Yes, I am bullish on C-Mac.
Indeed.
Wide receiver 1, Dutton.
Wide receiver 1, we know I like to get my stacks in with my quarterback, so I've gone with Stephon Diggs. He's moved out with the slot this year. He's going to play outside, so that means fewer targets, fewer receptions, but more high percent, high payoff plays. He's going to go downfield. He's going to get the touchdowns. $6,000 if they can protect Bradford long enough for him to get it downfield.
A stack, I hear you say. That would be Amari Cooper. He's $7,200 and he's mustard. Dutton, wide receiver 2.
Amari Cooper.
Nice. See what you done there. He's 7,200 for those who didn't hear me say it 10 seconds ago. Wide receiver 2 for me, Neil, is wide receiver 1 for your Philadelphia Eagles. That is Alshon Jeffrey, who's playing Washington. He's 5,800. You can take this pick however you wish, but I can't lose, so go me.
Yeah.
Who's your wide receiver 3, then?
Wide receiver 3 is Kenny Britt. I don't think he'll have a big game, but I think the Browns up against Pittsburgh, it's going to be a negative game script. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. And Britt's the best receiver. Not a huge fan of Corey Coleman. The rest of the guys they've got there are either rookies or still developmental. And I'm not the biggest fan of Britt, to be honest, but he's 4,800. So he's my wide receiver 3.
My wide receiver 3 is Paul Richardson, Seahawks against the Packers. I think he starts on the outside opposite Doug Baldwin this week, given all the changes there. And if he's going to be on the field all the time and you can get him for 3,700 against the blah secondary, I think you've got good value. So yeah, Paul Richardson, 3,700. He
also loves a circus catch as well.
Don't we all?
He's never met a catch he couldn't take in some bizarre cack-handed manner and make it look spectacular.
Tight end.
Tight end. I've gone for a bit value shopping. Charles Clay. The Jets were 9th in terms of fantasy points allowed to tight ends last year, and they were trying last year. so God knows what they'll do this year when they don't give a toss. I think he's the only receiver on the Bills who has any type of chemistry with Tyrod Taylor. They're going to try and feed LaShawn McCoy till he pukes. The Jets have still got some pieces there. Mo Wilk and Leonard Williams. They're not going to be bad against the run, I don't think. But Clay, I think he played a ridiculous number of their snaps last year. I think it was like 85%. And they've got no one else. So yeah, I'll go with Clay, 3,200.
I've gone for Tyler Eifert. He's Bengals against the Ravens. He's 4,600. Little steep on the price, but loves a touchdown. And I'm not convinced by the Baltimore Ravens at all. And I secretly love the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know why. I just love them.
Well, you've got to be careful about the Ravens because if Kate tweets something, they may get offended.
Yeah, I can't. We're literally not talking about that because I will swear multiple times.
Vile organisation with their vile mouthpiece prat.
Flex, Dutton.
Flex, it's a PPR league. He's the only person they've got who can catch passes and run the ball. It's Bilal Powell. 4,900. He's going to get he's going to be, unless DraftKings wired onto this, he's probably going to be an every week starter for me because literally I just think they're going to have to feed him.
You're not really giving it to anyone else, are they? My flex is...
Thanks.
Yeah, my flex is Taylor Gabriel against the Bears at 4,000. What I like about this is Steve Sarkisian has to show off, I think, week 1. I really think he does. He has to show his magic tricks. Look, I can be as good as Kyle. And that means I think Taylor Gabriel gets a lot of work. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of naughty double reverse concept with Taylor Gabriel involved.
I mean, the Bears defense is actually not terrible.
Yeah, it's not terrible, no. It's not terrible, and it is in Chicago, but it's in Chicago in September, not in December.
Yeah.
So it's a good time for the Atlanta to play them. And if you want to track me, then Gabriel's your man. Defence and special teams done. And please tell me that you saved yourself enough money to get the Rams against the Colts.
3,200 Rams against the Colts.
Winner. Of course you did. Because not only do we get the privilege of son of bum, we also get him against Scott Tolzien, and I don't care if Aaron Donald is in LA, in Madagascar, on the East Coast.
He's in my living room.
It doesn't matter. This could be a massacre of gargantuan proportions, and the Rams are going to feed.
And of course, the historical aspect of this game is that Jim Irsay did used to own the Rams.
Yes.
Was it Bob Irsay?
Bob
He used to own the Rams, and he swapped with Carol Rosenblum.
Yep.
And this basically that led to eventually the Colts leaving Baltimore. So there, impress your friends with that.
Exactly, Dutton. Let's quickly review Dutton. Quarterback.
Sam Bradford.
I've gone for Derek Carr. Running back 1.
No matter what.
Yeah, David Johnson for me 2. Running back 2.
Jonathan Stewart.
I've gone for his partner in crime, Christian McCaffrey, wide receiver 1.
Stephon Diggs.
I've got Amari Cooper, wide receiver 2.
Amari Cooper.
I've got Alshon Jeffrey, wide receiver 3.
Kenny Britt.
I've gone for Paul Richardson, usually tight end Dutton.
Charles Clay.
I've got Tyler Eifert, flex.
Bilal Powell.
And defence and special teams.
Rams.
Son of Bums Rams, absolutely done. That is week 1 preview in the books done. Now all we have to do is sit down, relax, get your red zone on, get Scott Hansen on, and let's enjoy the show.
Get your popcorn ready. A few things. My tight end streaming article for Rotoviz will be out tomorrow. There were 3 tight ends to stream. Unfortunately, one of them is not playing now because his game has been postponed. So there's only 2. Also, whenever it drops, it'll either be tomorrow, but I would imagine more likely to be Friday. You will hear my dulcet tones on the with the Fantasy Darlings on the Gridiron podcast.
Excellent. Dutton is at ndutton13. I am at Mainsy7. And combined, we are at waxing_lyrical. And as we say always, if it's a tweet and it's got words in it and it's spelled wrong, it's probably because it's me.
Correct.
And these top guys are ready for week 1 and are well and truly out.